One Team Media. This is the Bogies and Bourbon Podcast, a weekly podcast talking about two of our favorite loves, golf and bourbon. And now your hosts, Justin and Matt. All right, Justin and Matt here, back with another episode of Bogies and Bourbon Podcast. You doing okay, Justin?
Yeah, what's up, Matt? Doing well.
You hear me now? Okay, so
yeah, I couldn't see you a second ago either.
Okay, well, here I am. I'm here, back from vacation, larger than life, literally larger. I think I gained 10 pounds, and I had my first official work day back on Tuesday, and I was like stressed out that morning because I was like, I'm serious. I don't think any pants are going to fit me. And I was like stressed out a little bit about it. Well, we got it figured out. It was good.
I thought you were going to say that you were dragging your ass from, being hungover and stuff like that. You're actually stressed because you didn't have pants that would fit.
No, I didn't. That wasn't the case. I was having a good time. I was having too good of a time. Yeah. We smoked a whole box of cigars. An entire box of cigars were smoked by about 5 guys over a week. So it was a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how many's in a box, but it sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, we had a good trip. I know we have a lot to talk about because we didn't do a show last week. Right. And I played a couple of courses in Alabama. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Also, we got to talk about John Rahm, obviously, because we didn't talk about that before. He had the sniffles and he had to leave the course. All of a sudden, I don't think he was even sick, was he?
No, he was asymptomatic. He was fine.
So ridiculous. I was going back and forth with people on Twitter about that whole deal. We'll talk about that. You had some old-fashioned reviews. We need to start start doing the reviews again. And I think we had texted about you need to show like good old-fashions, and I think I'm going to start reviewing bad old-fashions.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, quality content. Yeah. I had a bad one. Went to Country Club of Jackson where they have the Sanderson Farms Championship.
It shouldn't be bad there.
I know. Right? It should be like, Old South, like an old Southern clubhouse. And it came out and it was so bad that he handed it to my brother-in-law who ordered a margarita. And it was pink and it had no orange peel. It was nothing. It was like just all cherry juice. It was terrible. And the guy said, "Here's a margarita." He said, "Oh, wait, that's an old fashioned." So I knew from the jump that it was going to be tough. I actually didn't even drink it all. It was terrible.
Oh, I had a bad one in Florida at the Oyster Bar, which is a very popular place in Perdido. And it's actually one of the nicer places that you can go in Perdido. And they have a killer bar. Usually, I shouldn't say killer, but they just have a lot of good drinks and whatever. And it came back to me, and it was just like red. It looked like a Cosmo. And I'm like, I know it's not going to taste good. I take a sip, and I'm like, nope, doesn't taste good. I just gave it back to the bartender and said, I'll get something else. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But I can hop back there if you want me to, is kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, but I followed up with, I went to another bar, like a little speakeasy, and had an improved one. It was, I think it's called like the Campfire Old Fashioned, and it's has like, it's smoked, has like that, they infuse the smoke in it and let it sit for a little bit. And it was good. It wasn't the best I've had. But then last week I was in Starkville for the regional.
Okay.
And a buddy of mine, he's like this pretty wealthy guy in Starkville, and he flew in. He's opening up a couple of restaurants in Starkville, and he flew in Jerry Jones's bartender.
Okay.
Like his personal bartender. And this dude was churning out drinks left and right. And he said, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Well, what do you have?" And he just kind of scoffed. He just laughed. And
right.
I said, "Well, man," he said, "I can make a good old fashioned." I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was like a revelation. It was like when you said earlier, when I have a good one, I'm going to know it's a good one.
Yeah.
And I could have drank 10 of those. It was so good. It wasn't overly sweet. You could taste the orange in it. And you could smell the orange. It was just perfect. Yep. And I was like, I want that dude at my, like any event I have to make drinks. He also made saltless margarita that had salt foam in it, and he had infused salt and then made it where he frothed it enough to where it was just foam on top.
Wow.
It was unreal. I mean, I would have rather sat there and just drink all the drinks he had instead of
Well,
going to
yeah,
the
that's the guy that you just say, "Hey, make whatever you want,
Yeah,
and let me be your taster or whatever." You just
yeah,
make friends with him, and
yeah.
he'll just
Peel me off the floor tonight,
yeah.
and I'll be good. But yeah, it was. I mean, I wanted to send videos. I should have done it, a picture or video of something and sent it to you because it was so good. You'd have been jealous of it.
No, that's awesome. I would have loved that. Like, I love good mixologists, and like, there's one bar here in town in Baton Rouge that they just have guys who just create whatever you want. And when we were doing the whole old fashioned challenge, this guy was just like, every time we would come back, he had something new, and he was like, "You said you liked coffee last time," because we just mentioned it in passing. We're asking for like coffee cocktails, and he made an old fashioned with coffee, like it was like coffee infused bourbon or something like that he used. It was crazy. And then another time he made a flambéed like bananas Foster's old fashioned where
Oh, that was so good.
he soaked the banana in bourbon and then flambéed it inside of it was just ridiculous. So yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm drinking. So you have a good pick today, but I have Michter's.
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah.
very good. Picked that up actually in Florida. We were running out, and I went and picked that up. You have a good bottle that you're
Yeah,
drinking, right?
Michter's is good. I had it a couple weeks ago when we were on the show. I had never had it before then. It was really good. Yeah, I actually have a little gem. Let's see, there
Eagle,
we go. Either there, a
yeah,
barrel pick. Let's see,
yeah.
there we
Door
go.
pick
Yeah,
Eagle Rare. That is
yeah,
odd for Baton Rouge, I think. I think the allocations of those are really hard to come by. So
yeah. I actually got 2 bottles. I bought one and sent my 9-month pregnant wife in to get another one because they said one per customer. So she waddled herself in there and got me one.
speaking of, all right, so we're just gonna say it. She's being induced on Thursday, and
Next Thursday, a week from today. Yeah, I'm going to be a dad a week
we
around
normally
this time next Thursday.
normally do our shows on Thursday,
Yeah,
so we either going to have you on or we'll have a replacement for you next week. But
yeah.
yeah, that should be fun.
It's going to be something. Yeah, somebody was telling me today they're like, man, it's going to be a stressful day, and I was like, well, it's not going to be for me.
Yeah,
I just have to sit there.
yeah, it is all
Uh,
man.
yeah, my wife was going to be stressing out. Yeah, she's the one that's got to do all the work. My job's done.
You're not a film from the other side kind of guy, right?
What's he saying? You ever seen Knocked Up?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, you ever seen a vagina by itself? Not for me. Yeah, he's like, don't go in there.
They'll do it.
Don't go in there. Yeah, so I think I'm going to stay at the head of the bed and not move, and maybe have an extra bed on standby just for me. It's probably going to be maybe that's going to have to birth the child and then wake me up probably.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're excited. Next Thursday it's all going to change. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to play as much golf from now until then as possible.
I don't
enjoy
know.
the last weekend I have.
Well, you played today, right? So how many times have you played this week so far? It's Thursday.
Well, today was the first day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't played. I played like last Monday, so I haven't played but twice, and I know I'm slacking. I don't know the weather's been terrible here. It's rained
and we
like
were on vacation, and it was raining apparently every day in Baton Rouge. So thank God it didn't rain at all while we were in Florida. I'm playing again tomorrow
nice
afternoon, so that'll be the first time I played since vacation.
Yeah.
But vacation. All right, so we go to Kiva Dunes. That was the first stop. I can just tell you this: those are probably the best greens that I've ever played.
Really?
Ever. As far as toughness and everything like that. I mean, for me, I feel like I played decent on a really tough course because, I mean, I shot a 98, which isn't great. I understand, but for me to shoot under 100 at a tough course like that, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Anytime you play under 100, if you play around bogey golf or a little above golf, you play hitting some good shots.
So I found out the key at Kiva is lag putting and like understand, because some of the pin placements are in crazy spots. Like you had like 2 tiers going up to a middle tier, and like the pin would be right on the edge, and it was like, I mean, playing at mini golf or something where you just leave it a little short and it would roll back down. We did it like we played a foursome. It must have happened five to 10 times that somebody would putt something over there. But we caught it the day before they were about to punch the greens. So if we
Nice.
would have waited a little bit longer, it would have been just nothing but sand over the top of them.
Yeah, that
So
would have been terrible.
we were talking about going back there again for a second time. We're like, oh yeah, they punched the greens. That'll be awful. But then the next round we played at the Peninsula.
Yeah, I played there.
Very good course. I just didn't like it as much as Kiva Dunes.
Yeah, it's not as nice. It's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my view was okay. If I'm going to play bad somewhere, I want to play bad. I'd rather play bad over there than play bad over here. It was not forgiving at all. Like I don't know. There was something about it. It was just it wasn't the same. It like Kiva Dunes to me felt like okay, this is a really nice course that I'm playing at. And the other one just didn't. I mean, it was good. You just didn't have all the little things that you would expect out of a very nice course. It was
Right.
still probably more difficult, actually, but yeah, just not quite the same. So yeah, didn't play well there either. I actually shot over 100 there. My brother-in-law beat everybody, and he's like 6'7", and he can like every now and then he just pulls out like a 300-yard drive. But he was, I think he shot like in the 80s both times, but it was like
Awesome.
I think 85, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good golf.
no, he's good. He's one of those guys who grew up playing and he trained, like he went to get lessons and stuff. And like, man, I've never done any of that stuff. I wish I would, but
Yeah.
late for me. But
We
yeah,
got a big sorry, go ahead.
no, you got a 6-man deal coming up, huh?
Yeah, we got a big 6-man coming up actually the 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
And it's one of the biggest tournaments in Tupelo. It's just it's cool to have a big party the night before. So it'll be a 2-day tournament on like Saturday and Sunday of July 4th weekend.
Okay.
And on Friday, they have a drawing. So you have all A players, which will be like plus handicaps to about scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have maybe scratch to 1. And then you have 1 handicaps to 4 or 5. And then they kind of tier it off. And since there's 6 people, what they do is they put all the A players up on a board, and then they'll start with like the lowest, so A, B, C, D, so F players, and they'll draw names of the F players out of a hat, and then you can go pick the A player you want to play with.
Okay.
Then they do it like all the way back up. So I was telling you off air that like realistically, my handicap is probably like a 2 or a 3. But I have it set in the handicap network to a 5.
Okay.
Well, I played so badly a couple weeks ago, it actually bumped it up to a 6.2.
Uh-huh.
So I'm never entering another score. I'm just going to live as a 6 handicap that sandbags the hell out of everybody. And I'm going to be a C player that's probably a borderline A or B player in the tournament.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm going to hopefully lurk in the shadows and get picked up. Get to play with some, +4 handicap, and we just ride off in the sunset and win a couple $1,000s in that tournament.
That's great.
And then I'll probably never get to play again. But
you'll have to just keep, going in rotation of different places.
Yeah.
Ride around, play the game.
Yeah. But I'm not the only one that'll do that.
No, there's ringers all over the place.
Yeah.
You're just who happen to be a B ringer and not an A ringer.
Right. Yeah. That'd be tough. Yeah. But so I'm looking forward to it because it'll be the first time I'll probably get to play golf since the baby. And I'll get out of the house and it'll just be a fun party that Friday night and then drinking and playing golf Saturday and Sunday. So
unless she says, "Look, I just can't handle this. You're gonna have to cancel this."
What do you? No, actually, we already made it.
You've already talked about it.
Yeah, we've already talked about it. I was like, listen, I won't play in a couple other tournaments if you just let me play in that one. And so we're good. She's already given me the her blessing, and so
what a woman.
I know. So I was just like, well, it'll be okay. It'll be 2 weeks. Like he's 2 weeks. He's basically grown. So yeah, he's good. He can basically keep himself out. He's good.
Do whatever he wants now.
Exactly. He's already watching R-rated movies at 2 weeks.
So what are your drives normally? Like, what do you off a drive?
Probably 300, 305.
Okay, so you are 300. Okay.
Yeah, I hit a couple on TrackMan a couple weeks ago about 320, but I think it was like juiced up.
Okay.
I don't typically hit. I carry it about 270, and just depending on roll, 270.
I hit one at Kiva that was like, it must have been 260. That was
Yeah,
probably one of the longest drives I've ever hit, and outdrove everybody. Yeah, outdrove the 6'7" guy, everything, and everybody was like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" Because I never hit long like that. But I did something at Kiva. I figured something out, and then I lost it like 2 days ago.
well, that was good. That was some bourbon and some vodka and some cigars and
I was
some late nights and.
So I had figured out something where basically, like, I
Oh,
would
we got a demo. We got a demo.
I got a club right here. I would line up, and I had noticed I had started hitting the ball. Started using a lot more wrist action than I normally do. Well, I started hitting a lot of balls off the heel, and so I just made a simple adjustment where I went back, and then all of a sudden I would just take a little step back, like just like a little shimmy back or whatever. And when I started doing that, I started hitting like really good drives and like straight and everything. I did the same thing 2 days later, and it's like duds, like back to the same thing. It was something with my reach and like making sure I was extending myself.
Yeah,
I don't know. I lost it, and I just got in my head after that.
when you and Jack come up for Old Waverly, we'll.
I don't want a training course. I don't want any of that.
No, I said, you'll have it figured out by then, so we're good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I got some, we have a sponsor for 1T1 podcast that lives on a nice golf course, and I already told him. I texted him today actually, and I said, "Hey, when are you going to play golf next?" And he's always out of town. He was like, "Oh, he's got this baseball tournament next weekend for his kids," and he's like, "After this weekend, I'm in." And I go, "Okay, call me every time, and I'll come out there." So
yeah,
he can be a client that we go to play golf or whatever.
No doubt, expense that stuff.
Exactly. So all right. So what else we got going on? We have, well, I know we have the John Rahm stuff that we need to talk about. And I was not texting. I was tweeting with John Peterson, former LSU golfer and pro golfer. About this whole situation. He was estimating that John Rahm probably lost $1.8 million in winnings from this whole deal. So he was obviously 6 shot in the lead. Nobody even got to, like, what did they end at? Like 13 under or something like that? He was 18.
I don't even know if it was 13. Yeah.
Everybody played bad on Sunday. And then, like, come on, there's got to be some kind of insurance clause or something like that in the bylaws to where this guy doesn't just come out with zero.
I know. I'm so torn. Like, I'm completely with. I don't think they should have pulled him out. My official stance is that they should have just let him play. I know that, like, if that were up to me, but I know that the rules for the PGA, was like, hey man, like, you get popped with this, like, you're DC or DQing basically. You can't really call it a withdrawal because he wouldn't have withdrawn himself,
right?
But so it's just a tough spot. Like, I know that and what was weird is, like, how did if it was contact tracing, and I know that he tested positive, like, how did Morikawa and whoever I can't remember the other guy he played with, they all play, like, they had to know, like, I don't know how they get to continue playing. And then it was like they were already around everybody else. So it was like, where do you stop? Like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, they all have contact tracing at that point, correct?
Yeah. Like, so, and I don't know the protocols of that, so it would just.
I think the weird situation he's literally up by 6 strokes, like, field. So,
and then it sucks that it sucks that they had to do it, or they did it like right off the 18th green. Wow. But I get why with like him, they don't want him around anybody else. So I get that, but the optics of it were pretty shitty. Oh, because I thought originally, because I was watching it, I was working and I had it on, and I thought that I thought I died.
Yeah, I thought a family member died. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
And so I was like, okay.
Bates doesn't even know what's going on. It was just weird, like, to do that on camera.
Yeah. So I don't know, but if they say to get vaccinated or this could happen, and then it's just like I think it's just like the worst thing that could happen for the PGA Tour also.
Yeah.
They have like one of your big name guys be leading in a tournament, and then just have to DQ
Well,
himself.
why aren't they vaccinated? I don't.
Maybe it's just
I
a
don't.
personal. I mean, a personal thing. I don't know. I haven't gotten mine because I got COVID 4 months ago.
Well,
Yeah,
you're not also playing for 1.8 million.
yeah, yeah. Well, hey, I could be. No,
It goes to the fact that when Phil Mickelson, long time ago, I used to always think about this about 15 years ago. Phil Mickelson will walk around and he has literally man boobs walking around, and I'm thinking, okay, you're a professional golfer, like your body is everything, right? Like you would think you would take care of yourself a little bit better, like hit the gym or whatever. Like for me to do it, I'm fine. I'm in advertising sales. Like it's not making a difference in what I'm doing every day, but you're literally a professional golfer. You would think that this would do. Same with this. Like you're going into weekend tournaments at the Memorial. Like this could happen. Like unless you go get vaccinated. Like go get vaccinated.
no, I completely agree. And
Not
my
that you
take the
can't
thing.
test positive. I don't know how that works. If you can test positive, still
Well,
vaccinated.
apparently, he tested positive, and then they held it out, and then he had a second like 2 days in a row,
Okay.
from what I've heard. But
To get away from the false positive stuff or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, he probably cares more about the win. Like, once you're worth 50 million, like, once another ones, I think he just wanted the win. But yeah, it's tough.
And
So
with that win, I don't know. I'm sure he's pretty much qualified for everything that he needs to qualify for, right? Like,
yeah, well, you think about, so at the end of the year where like because I think if they haven't changed it, the tour championship, you start out with like a certain score.
right.
So that win would have started him, he had to jump from like say 20th place to 7th place, where you're starting, if the year ended today, he'd be, 2 strokes back or whatever instead of
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
And that goes to, having 10 million or whatever in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
So you're telling me he's lost $10 million because he got
I
he
mean,
got a cold. Yeah.
potentially. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I bet he gets, but what's even tough, or I don't think he can even get on a golf course, like, because next week's is Torrey Pines, the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I don't think he can even show up until like the night before.
Right. I think I heard Tuesday.
Okay, Tuesday.
He can go practice on Tuesday, and then he's got Wednesday, and then obviously
Yeah.
Thursday. So
I mean, he's cutting it close.
yeah.
But do you think that would have happened to Tiger? Do you think? Do you think? Do you think if Tiger was up 6 strokes that you'd hear that they think they'd make him withdraw?
Now you think it's like the LeBron effect? Like, okay, LeBron was hanging out with all these guys on a boat. They're not going to give him the COVID protocols or whatever because he's
You think Tiger? I think they pop Tiger and pull him off the course. I don't think so. I think you hear about that like on the next week, saying that they found out late and he's going to miss this week, but he'll be back for the U.S. Open.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Very.
So I was just thinking about that. I was like, there's no way they pop Tiger or Jag, somebody, tier, like top tier player.
Right. And I mean, John Rahm's playing fantastic. So, man, that was a terrible situation.
Yeah.
He handled it, I think, pretty well because he just came out and said, "Hey, look, it happened and it is what it is." Blah blah blah. But,
that's on me, but it sucks. I gave up $2 million. But
so bad. All right, so big weekend here in Baton Rouge because we got a big weekend in Starkville too. So we got regionals coming up. So I know we're Bogies and Bourbon, but this is a big deal for us. LSU baseball wasn't even supposed to be here this year, and we've snuck into the Supers playing Tennessee, and then you guys got Notre Dame coming in to Starkville, and like I had Ben Mintz on, big college baseball guy, last night on another podcast, and he was telling me that's his upset pick is Notre Dame beating Mississippi State at Duty Noble. I cannot imagine a team like Notre Dame going into it's just a different world going from where you've been playing and then going into Duty Noble. I just feel like I don't know how a team can go in there and like I guess that gives you a lot of energy and a lot of like I don't know. motivation going into a game like that, but you got to be a little starry eyed going into a stadium like that, right?
Yeah, and I feel like you have to be. I mean, to go from I don't know what Notre Dame's playing in front of, but I guarantee you it's not 10,000 people every night.
No,
And I feel like Ben kind of had some low hanging fruit because I think that's the only ranked matchup left in the super. Like
yeah.
so it was like, well,
I think the rankings of like what's going to be the best super regionals is a lot. I think, and I know I'm biased, but I think a lot of people are probably saying LSU and Tennessee, and then like Notre Dame and Mississippi State.
well, I know that State's the 7 seed and Notre Dame's the 10, and then I
Right.
think that's the only two that were
Yeah.
the national like the seedings, like everybody else lost or it's not that close. Like
LSU's is going to be rocking because of, first of all, Tennessee is just madhouse right now, and like there's a fan base there that's been begging for a good team for a long time, and they finally got one, and they're all in, man. But there's also a lot of trash talk that's been happening back and forth between the two fan bases, and you got LSU's got this storied program going into a brand new, program in Tennessee, and they think they're all that, and there's a lot of back and forth going on locally.
there's,
So
there's probably some Tennessee fans that are talking a lot of shit that haven't been to a game in 10 years, like didn't even know that where the stadium was.
that's right.
So, but I mean, they do look good.
Yeah,
I wish that I knew more. I haven't. I mean, I didn't even know Notre Dame had a program until this year. So it was like I haven't kept up with. I mean, I knew that the last time I thought about Notre Dame baseball was when Jeff Samardzija played for them.
well, yeah. Paul Maneri was the coach at
Yeah,
game,
he was.
and then he came to yeah, but they haven't been good since then. I mean, it's been a long time since they've been really good, and but Ben Mintz was talking about how they can just flat out hit. So
Well, I mean, they beat the shit out of the ball this past. They put up like 50 runs in 3 games.
yes.
Um,
They beat UConn 26-3. That was one of the games, I think. So
yeah. So I'm eager.
Justin may have technical difficulties. Network connection is low. So, yeah, we were talking about, we'll wait for him to get back on, but we were talking about Notre Dame. I think the Notre Dame Mississippi State matchup is very intriguing. Not only just a small team, shouldn't say small team, small market team like a Notre Dame going into Mississippi State. I think that Mississippi State, the aura around that whole program and then that stadium is a lot for a team like Notre Dame to handle. But man, if they can hit the ball, I think that's going to be a very exciting regional. But LSU Tennessee to me is going to be a madhouse, and it's you know you had a team before whenever LSU went there last time they got swept, but they had 2 walk-offs in the series to win the game. There was a lot of trash talk apparently. So there's a couple of teams that really don't like each other too. Plus, you got a coaching situation going on right now with Paul Maneri leaving. Tony Vitalo could be the coach coming in. There's a lot going on there. So I know we're a golf and bourbon podcast, but baseball is kind of front and center right now. Torrey Pines, we're going to talk about that whenever Justin comes back on too, because I'm interested in in who's going to play well at Torrey Pines. That's kind of what I want to know, and who's the best kind of player that would match up right at that course. So whenever he comes back on, we'll do that. There's Justin right here. He must have had some. And now you're on your phone. I see.
I'm on my phone. I don't know what we just had a power surge. We're just gonna keep rolling with the punches. Yeah, we're just gonna
all right. So I was just talking about the regionals, but then I switched gears a little bit, and I was going to talk about Torrey Pines a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know the course. I don't remember the course. I know they played there plenty of times, but I don't remember the course. Who's going to match up really well in that course, and how is it going to who's going to play well at that kind of thing? Is it a long hitter or somebody I don't know, who's our guys that can pinpoint the ball in different spots and maybe have a good drive, but really good iron play.
I think it's all going to come down to the long driver. And I don't like saying that, but I think that if you're not in the top 10, I think I read a stat somewhere. It was like if you're not in the top 10 driving, like no U.S. Open champion has been has won it without being in the top 10 that week in driving distance.
But what about fairways hit? Is that an issue there too,
I
or
think
like
that's a huge issue. Um, Huge issue there. I watched the Torrey Pines tournament last year, but obviously it'll play different for
a U.S. Open?
U.S.
Right.
Open. I love the videos that they always show, like before, where they like you drop a ball in the rough and you can't find it. And it's like 6 inches deep. It cracks me up, and then it never plays that bad ever.
Yeah, after that, right?
Yeah, but we did have one of my buddies actually qualified for the U.S.
Okay.
Open. Hayden Buckley, he's a member at Tupelo Country Club where I'm a member, and he and I play some when he's home, and he shot 10 under at the qualifying spot. So he's a Corn Ferry winner this year, and he's I think he's a couple weeks away. If he has a couple good weeks, I think he'll get his tour card wrapped up. So, and then there's a couple other guys from Mississippi, Chad Ramey and Davis Riley. They're both going to be PGA Tour bound this next year. But I think we had 3 or 4 Mississippi guys qualify for the U.S. Open. So it's cool to see some guys that you actually know or have grown up following.
And the qualifying for that is, I mean, it's literally one event. Is that right? Or do you have multiple events you got to do?
It's a 2-day tournament.
Okay, so it's the tour card that's so hard to get, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the U.S. Open is a 2-day tournament. Yeah, the PGA Tour card is you play all year at the Corn Ferry Tour, and if you're in the top 20, I don't know how they do it with the super season, like COVID lengthened season.
Yeah.
Typically it's the top 25 on the
Very okay.
Actually, here I can jump back on the mainstream.
So top 25 of Corn Ferry gets in. It used to be it feels like it used to be more than that, like more than more of a qualifier to get into those.
Yeah, I don't remember what they used to do, but
very, very strenuous.
It's tough. I was talking to a buddy today about how they had a guy that we watched, and they have it projected out pretty well. It's like Andy Katz with I can't remember the guy's name that does the NCAA March Madness, but they have it projected where like you're going to get the tour card or not. And this dude had to make like a birdie on a par 5 or a par to finish up on 18, and he made like 1 stroke higher than he needed to. He was on the green in 2 or close to it, and then made a bad chip and had it like 10 feet and then missed it. So he must have had to make a birdie.
Did he know?
Yeah, and he knew, and he was like trying to fight back tears. It was tough.
Oh.
So yeah, it's so whoever finishes in the top 25 this year will get full status on the PGA.
Okay, so your friend is kind of close to that, Hayden Buckley, right?
Yeah, like number 30. He's in the 30s, I think. I think he's like 33, 34.
Okay.
So he's a couple good weeks away, or a couple weeks of having good golf away from being
right.
But hopefully he does that soon.
All right. So what else do we have going on? I think we talked about a few things. So we went over the old fashions. You're good there. I'm gonna see if I can explore some more old fashions this week, and I'll do a review of those. We'll put them on the social media, so everybody go follow us at Bogie's Bourbon on Twitter and our Instagram page. We're gonna start doing that a little bit more, I think, too. So I'm still doing One Team One Podcast, but now I got interns helping me out, so I can kind of concentrate on other stuff.
You're fancy.
Yeah, but you're going to be home with kids, so you need to start doing stuff too, I think. So you don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, it'll be a piece of cake. Sleeps all the time and eats. He's just like me.
That's right. Same sleep schedule. Hopefully he's got the same sleep schedule. Is it a boy? Do you know yet?
Yeah, it's a boy.
Boy. Okay. So do you have the name picked out?
Yeah, James Tabor. Tabor is my mom's maiden name.
Is he going to be James or is he going to be Jimmy or
Tabor?
Huh?
It'll be Tabor, Tabor.
You're going to call him Tabor, and so it's James Tabor, but you're going to call him Tabor.
Yeah, and it'll probably morph into JT because he's going to be a golfer.
JT Hillhouse.
Yep.
That does sound like a golfer. Either a golfer or like a closer coming in from the pen.
Yeah. he'll, he'll probably be a lineman. He'll probably be some, if he's like me, he'll be thick. But yeah, so,
Well, next week we'll look out for that for sure, and we'll post that too if you want us to. And then if we may have a guest appearance from somebody else to kind of fill the gap.
yeah.
But I think we'll wrap it up then. So, all right, this has been Bogies and Bourbon podcast. Matt and Justin signing off. Justin has got a busy week ahead, so y'all say a prayer for him, and let's go hit him straight.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys soon.